to Rebooting Liberty.
Have you ever wanted to have your own radio show? Rebooting Liberty Radio Network currently has openings for live programs. For a very small fee, we will create a show intro, bumper music, and provide technical production for your hour-long show. Email producer@rebootingliberty.com for details. You can find us at live.rebootingliberty.com.
Get ready to fight from within. You're about to go behind enemy lines on WNJC.
Roger, 3-2. Goliath copies all. Go ahead. Target is surrounded by multiple firms entering what appears to be a residential area. Requesting permission to engage.
Live from the People's Republic of New York City. You're now going behind enemy lines with Gene Berardelli and Russ Gallo.
And you are now behind enemy lines. Hey there, how you doing, everybody? Gene Berardelli, Russell Gallo here. Russ, how you doing tonight, man?
What's going on, Gene B?
Well, listen, we got the GOP debate going on live as we're recording this the day before Veterans Day. I don't know about you, but I got some GOP debate fatigue going on right now, pal.
Actually, I have to give Fox Business some credit. This debate is the best run. I watched the one before this with the undercard. Terrific debate so far, all around.
It's like saying you got the smartest kid with learning disabilities when you talk about the media that way, Russ.
No, these guys have been very fair. Neil Cavuto and Marie Romo. I should have been able to say that Italian name. But
yeah, seriously, Gallo. What the heck, man?
Very good job, both of them.
Well,
Nothing like Megyn Kelly and her sellout ass.
Well, listen. Tonight's not a night for politics, Russ. This is probably the one show every year where we put politics aside and we pay tribute to men like Russ Gallo, who serve our nation as a member of the armed forces. Veterans Day, as we said, as we record this, is coming up tomorrow. And we have a great show in tribute to all the sacrifices and contributions to society that veterans give us every single day. The reason why we're able to do this show, Russ, is because somewhere right now there's a veteran standing a post protecting the freedoms of this nation.
Very nice, Gene. Very nice. But we're going to talk about politics tonight. Don't get crazy.
Well, okay, so, you know what, let's get it out of the way then, because coming up later in the show, we have Tony Lo Bianco, actor, writer, producer, director, who gives a very moving tribute in reading the poem, Just a Common Soldier. I played it for you earlier, Russ, and I know that you liked it a lot.
Yeah, it's a very good job. Tony Lo Bianco is a great guy. We've been to a few.
We know a famous person, Russ.
He's a very good guy, you know what I mean? And he did a nice job on what you're going to play later.
Absolutely. And there goes my phone again, which I thought was like shut off by now. But you know what? When you're a famous radio show host, this is what happens, unfortunately.
And we would know this how?
I don't know. I'm guessing. Also during the show, we're going to be having an interview that we pre-recorded with John Preston. He's a Marine who served in Operation Iraqi Freedom right around the same time you were in Iraq, Russ, talking about his experiences there, his experiences with PTSD and how he's suffered since coming home, how he's channeled that into his music, and he has written a very poignant tribute to a fallen hero, Sergeant Chris Strong, also a Marine, who was killed in action the day before he was set to return home from his tour. So very moving stuff tonight. You may hear that I'm a little low-key in what I'm talking about, but it's that type of night for me, Russ, because I really look forward to doing this show every year. Everyone else is going to be talking about the debate. We're talking about something important.
We're going to touch on the debate, too. Plus, especially for our our faithful fans.
Yes, our longtime fans.
Longtime fans.
After the show breaks, we're going to play a little something for you that is a Veterans Day tradition on our shows. I wouldn't call it a poignant tribute, but it is a tribute nonetheless.
A blast from the past. You guys will all appreciate it.
Yes.
We had a great laugh before.
And dare I say, you're all about to get yak attacked. But right now, I know you want to get into some political stuff, Russ, and let's do that before. You've been watching the debate while I've been setting up the show, typical. And you've been noticing that compared to the moderators at Communist NBC, Fox Business is actually doing a good job.
A very good job. They're bringing up issues, allowing the candidates to talk. I'm going to make a bold prediction here, and it's a shame we're halfway through the debate and I had to turn it off. But I'm going to guess that Donald Trump loses some steam here. This is a debate now where the candidates are actually able to speak intelligently. They have some time. They're not getting interrupted by the moderators. And the gotcha questions are, I haven't seen one yet. So this is where I think a guy like Ted Cruz can shine and will shine. One more prediction, especially for our rhinos in the room. The topic of illegal immigration came up in this second debate here. And Jeb Bush and John Kasich basically lost the Republican primary.
So they threw up their nose horn is what you're saying, right?
Well,
they showed their true colors.
I'm not even going to go as far as to say that. Here's the problem, folks. When you talk about illegal immigration and you're a conservative Republican who votes in a primary election, you want to hear a guy saying we're going to enforce the law, we're going to put up a wall, and we're going to deport illegal immigrants. That's what you want to hear. What the logistics behind it, we can figure that out later, but that's what we want to hear. And Kasich and Bush and a couple of the other ones, they all but admitted that they have no intention of deporting anyone, that they're going to allow everyone to stay, and then they all try to backtrack and say, but we want the wall. But everyone who's here can stay. So who does that help?
It helps no one really.
But who does that help on the stage?
Oh, it helps Trump and Cruz.
And there you go, and Ted Cruz. Notice how they never locked horns, by the way.
Not anything anywhere. They've collaborated even.
They've never even thrown a jab.
Absolutely. So while we're talking about debates and debate tactics and everything, I just got to give a shout out to our friend Thomas, who invited Russ and I last week to the New York City Independent Republican Soundbite event, where we were actually judges on how people would interact with liberal talking points. And the tips that we gave out, we see now on stage from the Ted Cruzes, and I would say to some extent from the Marco Rubios of the world. And one of them is, and I think we saw it with Ted Cruz, especially with the last question he asked, was asked about taxes, about rebutting false premises. He said it about his entitlement plan. He said it about his tax plan. He always rebutted and reframed the question to suit his need before he answered it, so that way he was answering his own question rather than the question asked by the moderator.
Brilliant, if I must say so.
I think it's the way to go. It's absolutely the way to go. And I think this is something that we taught a lot of people who showed up to this great event, and we're looking forward to doing that again. You'll be hearing more about the New York City Independent Republicans, a group behind enemy lines just like us, in the weeks and months to come, I'm sure, as Thomas is a regular contributor in our chat room. And while I said that, we got the chat room going right now, folks. We don't have a lot of time to talk because we got a lot of tape to play, but we will be stealing, possibly borrowing and crediting some of you if you say anything good in there. And we'll get to that in a little bit. But Russ, back to the debate real quick. You got a point you want to make?
Yeah, I want to, real quick, because I don't want to get cut off before we get to talk about this. Ben Carson, Dr. Ben Carson, very impressive this week. The media has revealed itself to be the left-wing racist that they truly are. Any black that comes out conservative all of a sudden becomes, subject to the witch hunt. They're digging up people from his past when he was a teenager, and even before then. And the things that this man is being accused of are quite astonishing. First of all, he brought up some good points, Ben Carson himself, in response to all this. When did they ever dig into Obama's college transcript?
Well, they tried to, but it was all sealed.
Who did they ever locate from Obama's past or his childhood that can tell us anything about the president?
Well, they tried to find everybody, but nobody would talk to them.
Okay, so basically they're saying Ben Carson is lying about stabbing someone. Now, talk about premises, right? So the media, the leftist media, is brilliant. They put Ben Carson in a box, and he got out of it somehow. He basically was put in a situation where he has to prove that he actually stabbed someone in order for him to have any credibility. This is insanity. Talk about a lose-lose situation. Somehow Dr. Carson comes out totally dry on this one. Didn't get wet at all. I love it. The other one was the West Point story where they claim that he lied about getting offered a scholarship.
Now, Russ, let's get into this for a second. I'm sure if you were in ROTC in high school and you're invited to a dinner with General Westmoreland, and he mentions in passing, hey, you should go to West Point, we'll get you a scholarship. Obviously, that to a 10th grader, that's being offered a scholarship.
Yes, and Carson, during that time frame, and Mark Levin, hat tip to Mark Levin, on his show, his staff did some research. It took them all of 2 seconds to find out that during that time frame, West Point was advertising full government scholarships for people who would come to West Point. And they were being pushed into minority communities. So there's no doubt that Ben Carson heard that exact verbiage, and that's why he said it. The media is trying to say that there was no such thing as a full scholarship to West Point, full government scholarship. But that's just a lie. That is a lie. And a general, like you said, mentioned in passing, hey, why don't you come to West Point? We'll get you a full scholarship. Hello? Ben Carson, great job this week.
Yeah, great
like
job.
A Rubik's Cube.
I think Trump has peaked, and he's kind of plateauing from what I'm hearing from you.
Well, unless something else happens in the debate, we have it on mute. I don't know. But the Republicans kind of played into his hand with the immigration thing again.
Yes, the immigration point,
So
he did get by on that one pretty unscathed. And the rest, Marco Rubio, did he distinguish himself at all?
Rubio's a good guy, but I actually listen. I'm not a Trump guy. I always have to preface this for some reason. I like Donald Trump, and I could live with Donald Trump as president. I lean more towards Ted Cruz, but I agree with Donald Trump on this one. Marco Rubio, young guy, young senator,
first-term senator.
First-term senator. I get that, but he's young, and his life experience. If you look at his resume, I don't think he's ready to be president myself. So that it is what it is. There.
All right. Well, there you go. What do you say?
Can you picture him giving a State of the Union or talking about leading the country in a war and leaning off stage to take a sip of water?
No.
It's just I don't know.
I feel you. There's a presidential feel, and we're starting to see who's got that and who doesn't. There's an X factor when it comes to being president, and you have to be able to be above the fray, knowledgeable, personable, charismatic, all at the same time.
Like me, basically.
Basically like Russ Gallo. All right. And speaking of Russ Gallo and all that he brings to the table, I want to get into our Veterans Day tribute right now, so we can go back and watch the debate and come back at the end and see if we want to say anything else, Russ. So here's what we're going to do right now. We're going to start out with our interview with Tony Lo Bianco, followed by his moving tribute that was played in Times Square on the Clear Channel board, right on 46th Street in Times Square, his moving tribute of the reading of the poem, Just a Common Soldier. Take a listen to this, folks. We'll be back after this interview, after the poem, and after a brief word with station identification from our sponsors as well. Be right back after this interview with Tony Lo Bianco. Gene Berardelli back behind enemy lines, and on the phone with me right now, I have the pleasure and the honor of speaking with a true Renaissance man when it comes to theater, film, television, and a true patriot, I must add. Tony Lo Bianco, sir, thank you so much for calling in. It's a pleasure to speak with you.
My pleasure, Gene. My pleasure.
So, first of all, let me just congratulate you on the video that I saw earlier today that is going to be premiering in Times Square on Tuesday at 10 a.m. By the time people listen to this, it'll be already debuted and it'll be online, and it already is online. Just beautiful rendition of the poem.
Just a
common soldier. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Tell everybody what made you decide to create this wonderful tribute.
Well, coming from Brooklyn, I care very, very much. This poem, Just a Common Soldier, by A. Lawrence Vaincourt, I read it, and I loved it, and it touched my heart. And I've been doing it quite often. And then a friend of mine, Stephen Klaus, said, "Hey, Tony, why don't we film this?" And it is gone. We released it on Memorial Day of this year, and it is now up to 11,100,000 views.
That's amazing.
And it is amazing because we outdid our likes. We have more shares. We have 600,100 shares, and we outdone our likes. So people look at this thing. Not only do they like it, they share it, and now we have 11.1 million views. And we are aiming for 21 to 23 million because that's how many veterans there are. And the idea of this piece, to me, is to get people to understand that we have a volunteer military and that our veterans must be taken care of for their sacrifice for you and me and all of Americans. And this tribute to them is, our VA, they should even be in danger of not getting treated. These are people losing their arms and legs and sacrificing themselves for us. And everybody has to get behind this government who doesn't seem to understand what people sacrifice for, including the 9/11 and our police force. The 9/11 people are, I understand, by next year are going to get their funds cut off. People are dying from diseases from the heroic acts of being down there. And our police force is the best in the world. So we're giving them a 1% raise? We seem to be going backwards in terms of our care and our heart and our understanding and our common sense for people who sacrifice for us. We must pay them tribute. We must take care of them. We have some speakers tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock where we've been given the gift from Times Square Advertising Coalition, Clear Channel. We're going to put up this video on the screen on Broadway from 46th Street to 47th Street near the Red Steps. And we ask anybody who would love to come, please do. And those who can't, please go to www.justacommonsoldier.com. Take a look at this video and share it with your people so we can get to those 21 to 23 million veterans that we care so much about. And do what you can for a veteran, because these people, as I say, whenever you see a policeman, a fireman, or somebody in uniform in the service of our country, a big smile and a thank you would be greatly appreciated. And I know everybody agrees with me. I never pass a policeman or someone in uniform without giving them a thank you for everything that they do for us. And, the soldiers, they'll be in town, and when you see one eating at a restaurant, pick up his tab, buy him a drink, something, do something, show them how much you love them and how much you care for them. And I think that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because that's the way I feel about all those people who sacrifice for us. And that's what we're supposed to do as patriots to our cause. This is what America's being, but we have to show leadership.
And I think that's the key right there, Tony, because we're not seeing leadership coming right now currently from our government. And we're definitely not seeing it with the Veterans Administration, and the way that our veterans are treated there is absolutely deplorable.
Absolutely. And, when you train soldiers and the police for the job, for action, let them do their job. Stop being so politically correct and stopping our soldiers to win a war. And if anybody's not interested, we are at war. It doesn't have to be declared, but look at it. Look at the country. Pay attention to what is going on. And, they say you get the government you deserve. And if you don't go out there and vote and change, if you like what's happening, continue it. But if you don't, and you see and you pay attention to the news of what's going on, what's happening in the Middle East, and what's happening with Russia, what's happening with the, you got to do that, because you have to care about your children and your grandchildren. Otherwise, it's going to be over for this country. This is a beautiful country. This is the country that we all love, a country of freedom and respect. And the word respect seems to be vanishing from our country. We are even giving law. We're even trying to justify Sharia law in our country. People come here and make up their own laws. And I don't know where, Sharia law is so against women. Where is their outrage? That's where the protests should be against what they do against our country and against our people, and especially women.
I absolutely agree. Everyone can hear the passion coming from you, Tony, and especially the passion for our nation. And I especially heard it in the video where it gets to the section that compares the soldier to the politician, and that is when people hear it right after this interview, it's going to be one of those light bulb moments where you'll be like, yes, you nailed it absolutely perfectly, not only with the words from the poem, but your tone. It was absolutely amazing. Talk a little bit about your feelings of the state of politics today, especially when it comes to our veterans and our soldiers.
Yeah. Well, look, in this poem, it practically says it all in terms of it is not the politician, but the every man on the street who volunteers to help us get through all the wars that they start, and obviously what has happened in this current time, we see how disgusted the public is for the way our politicians are running the country. And people have been there for 32 years, 35 years. They're entrenched. We voted, I believe, in 1947 to have 2 terms for a president, but not our congressmen. They go on and on and on, and it's really up to you to vote. You can't keep the same thing going. If you want real change, then you have to get out there and make the change by your vote and enlisting everybody else's aid to see things that are very clear. And it's right there in front of you. All you have to do is see it and react. And get those politicians that are stopping this country from being what it is, and get them out. Vote them out. So my passion for this is just common sense. It has nothing to do with even party politics, as far as I'm concerned. It's who's going to lead this country back to what it was and what our initial values were. How to teach respect. Pay attention not so much to the criminal as the criminal. Pay attention to the people that are protecting you from them. And keep supporting them. Vote for them.
I don't think I could have said it better myself, Tony. Support the people that are out there supporting you. But I gotta say, when you say it, it sounds so much better than when I say it. So listen, I obviously we want everybody to go to justacommonsoldier.com, and if they're in the New York area, to please go to Times Square and to view the video. That's going to be on 46th and 47th Street on the Clear Channel board there. And of course, Tony, we want people to support you as well in all your endeavors. So how can people find out more about what you're doing?
They can go to TonyLoBianco.com. And we do LaGuardia. I do my one-man show on Fiorello LaGuardia. I'm doing one for teenagers, school thing on December 1st, but it's just for them. But I'm available to do it at colleges, at events, and someone could just contact me at TonyLoBianco.com and let me know. If you have an event, it's a really important piece because, as you know, you saw it. I keep it up to date, even though LaGuardia was mayor from 1934 to 1945. The same kind of things keep happening, and I changed the script. I wrote the script as well, so I keep changing it and putting in the ideas of how to handle these things, and how LaGuardia would have handled them, and how somehow they're the same thing. That we just don't seem to get it through our heads. People have been so distracted from what's really going on, because of they're trying to struggle to make a living and their kids and so on and so forth. This is all about the future. Everything I do is about the future of your children and the country and your grandchildren. And LaGuardia is just that, just a reminder. That's why I like to do it to teenagers and colleges. Try to get those minds first, so get them out of their computers and their distractions of the kinds of movies that they're watching now and so on and so forth. We just have to get back to some kind of understanding of history. And if you understand history, you will know what's going to happen. You see history, and you see, the simple thing is, when you walk off a curb, you look both ways, otherwise you're going to get hit with a car. If you put your hand in a fire, you're going to get burned. It's as simple as that in a way, because we have history. We see what happens. We see what has happened if you do this, if you do that. Nobody's inventing the wheel. It's right there to be seen, but you really got to look. And be, when I say really look, I mean get away from other things that you're not really. If you're not into politics and you don't understand what is going on, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. We're into a campaign of this celebrity business. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous thing. People are caught up with celebrities. It's why I don't. I'm not, and I don't think about those things. I think about what's really happening in relationships, and I teach also. I teach acting, and acting is like teaching about life, and that's what I do. I just finished 6 classes, and I'm probably going to start up again in January or February. People want to see what that is about. Go to TonyLoBianco.com and let me know what you're interested in. I mean, I'll go to colleges, I'll go to events to do the show, and so on. Speaking engagements.
It sounds fantastic. It takes a fellow Brooklynite to recognize what's real, and Tony Lo Bianco is as real as it gets, folks. Check out TonyLoBianco.com, justacommonsoldier.com. Tony, what a pleasure it was to talk to you. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And right now, folks, we're going to actually play for you Just a Common Soldier. Here it is.
He was getting old and paunchy, and his hair was falling fast. And he sat around the Legion telling stories of the past, of a war that he had fought in, and the deeds that he had done, in his exploits with his buddies. They were heroes, every one. And though sometimes to his neighbors his tales became a joke, all his Legion buddies listened, for they knew whereof he spoke. But we'll hear his tales no longer, for old Bill has passed away. The world's a little poorer, for a soldier died today. He will not be mourned by many, just his children and his wife. For he lived an ordinary and quite uneventful life. He held a job and raised a family, quietly going his own way. and the world won't note his passing. Though a soldier died today. When politicians leave this earth, their bodies lie in state, while thousands note their passing and proclaim that they were great. Papers tell their whole life stories from the time that they were young. But the passing of a soldier goes unnoticed and unsung. Is the greatest contribution to the welfare of our land a guy who breaks his promise and cons his fellow man? Or the ordinary fellow who in times of war and strife goes off to serve his country and offers up his life? A politician's stipend and the style in which he lives are sometimes disproportionate to the service that he gives, while the ordinary soldier who has offered up his all is paid off with a medal and perhaps a pension, small. It's so easy to forget them, for it was so long ago that the old bills of our country went to battle. But we know it was not the politicians with their compromises and ploys who won for us the freedom that our country now enjoys. Should you find yourself in danger with your enemies at hand, would you want a politician with his ever-shifting stand? Or would you prefer a soldier who has sworn to defend his home, his kin and country, and would fight until the end? He was just a common soldier, and his ranks are growing thin. But his presence should remind us we may need his like again. For when countries are in conflict, then we find the soldier's part is to clean up all the troubles that the politicians start. If we cannot do him honor while he's here to hear the praise, then at least let's give him homage at the ending of his days. Perhaps just a simple headline in a paper that would say, "Our country is in mourning, for a soldier died today."
Tell me that isn't powerful stuff, Russ.
That was pretty badass. Good job.
Hey, listen, it's badass to put it together, yes, but the whole point of this show is to point out that men like you, men and women who serve, that's what's badass. That's what we should be saluting more than just 1 or 2 days out of the year. Like I opened the show up with, we get to do this show because people like you have provided the freedom for us to do this show. And I guess that's what we're kind of fighting about in the debates is the course of this nation and how we're going to use that freedom for the next 4 years.
I appreciate it, Gene, but let's not get bogged down here. Let's keep it rolling.
All right, we're going to keep it rolling. Thanks for listening to Behind Enemy Lines Radio, folks. I'm Gene, he's Russ. And while we got you listening, check out our website. That's www.behindenemylinesradio.us. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter at BEL_radio. Check out the Brooklyn Young Republicans, where we first started, at www.brooklynYRS.com. And you can listen to the show on replay. We're available on iTunes, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Player FM, Spreaker, and Stitcher, among other fine podcast outlets across the interwebs. We're going to take a quick break here right now, folks, and when we come back, we're going to bring you our interview with singer, songwriter, and Marine John Preston. Gene and Russ, Behind Enemy Lines. We'll be back right after these brief words.
So what is Behind Enemy Lines anyway?
This is the true story of two friends living in the People's Republic of New York City who work together and have their conversations taped to find out what happens when conservatives stop being politically correct and start getting real. We are Behind Enemy Lines. Watch your wallets. Thursdays at 1 on WNJC, part of the Conservative Commandos Radio Network.
I'm Vito.
And I'm Vito, and we're from WNJC's The Vito and Vito Show.
Every Friday at 1 p.m., you can hear Vito and Vito bring you the perspectives of two college-age millennial conservatives who are committed to defending the principles of free markets, liberty, freedom, and individualism from Brooklyn, New York.
Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Vito and Vito Show, and check out our blog posts and articles at vitoandvito.com.
Vito and Vito Show every Friday, 1 p.m. on WNJC 1360 AM, Philadelphia's Renaissance Station. In Brooklyn,
it's nothing but the truth.
Who might you save?
Your mother, your father, your husband, uncle, aunt, son.
Learn FAST, F-A-S-T, the sudden signs of a stroke, and you could save.
Your friend, teacher, boss.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. F-A-S-T. That's F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. The sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in the recovery of
your neighbor, the waiter, grandmother, grandfather.
So learn FAST, the sudden signs of a stroke, then pass it on, because you never know who might save you.
Your wife, your colleague.
Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org, brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Behind Enemy Lines. Back on the air.
Gene Berardelli back behind enemy lines, and joining me right now on the line, it is a pleasure to welcome onto the show John Preston, a singer, a soldier. How you doing, pal? It's so great to have you on. I was going to build you up a little bit. Singer, soldier, activist extraordinaire, and we were just talking before the interview about your background and how you got into this. Why don't you tell everybody all about it?
Yes, sir. So, first of all, singer, Marine, activist.
Oh, my father! You know what? My father's going to kill me. My father, God rest his soul, he's smacking me in the back of the head right now. Once a Marine, always a Marine.
Yes, sir. So I am a son of a Marine Vietnam veteran, Purple Heart Award recipient. That was my hero. You know, when I was a little kid, my father used to come out of the bedroom with this Purple Heart, and he would show it to me, and he'd be like, "This is what you don't want to do." I'd always be like, "Ooh, I want to be like Dad." You know, it was one of those things. So, followed the footsteps of my father and both my brothers. In 2000, I joined the Marine Corps. Obviously, before 9/11, I was a field wireman, but I was with 2nd Battalion, 7th Marines. So I ended up being a radio operator for Golf 27 for 2.5 years, and then on my deployment to Iraq, because I was one of the few H&S guys that spent a lot of time in the infantry, I actually became an infantry squad leader for our mission squad with 27 headquarters. So with my time in Iraq, I probably ran 120 combat missions outside the wire, hooking and jabbing, anything from opening schools up, which was really not talked about very publicly for us, to actual running security for EOD, blowing bombs, to full-blown patrols in hot neighborhoods. So we ran a lot of busy time over there in Iraq.
It sounds like it. It must have been a singular experience. I don't want to judge good or bad, but throughout all this, though, when you came back stateside, you faced even more challenges, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going through something that not very many of us probably had the opportunity to do. In 2004, when I was in Iraq, actually, at one point we were out opening a school, and my buddy Nick and I were on this patrol, and we got surrounded by Iraqi school children, and they all started clapping and chanting, "Good, good America, good, good America." And I just remember that absolutely blowing my mind, because that was the first time while I was there that I thought to myself, we're doing this. You know, this is the generation that we're bringing up. These are the people these are the lives that we're altering and changing, are these children that are clapping and chanting "Good, good America." I went back to what we had back there were like little cans that we lived in, and I wrote the song Good Good America. Nick, who was a little tech savvy, decided we were going to make a video to it while we were still in Iraq. We put this video out, and we were covered by LA Times front page of calendar, and I was known across the whole country. That hit every newspaper in the country in '04. So by the time I got out, I was actually signing a record label to start a music career, and what I thought I was going to be this huge star. Yeah, so I was dealing with a lot of other things at the same time. Here I just got back from war. I had a bottle in my hand most of the time. I remember my father actually came out and lived with me for about 3 months because he knew I wasn't going to make it otherwise, and I was in a rough spot in life, in drinking myself way beyond where I should have been. So I, at that time, was unaware what I was dealing with, and what I was dealing with was post-traumatic stress, and we really didn't, it had a name, but it wasn't public for us veterans at that time. In '04, they basically said, hey, here you go, see you later, welcome to society, and that was it. I think it was a blessing that I had the distraction of music at the same time so that I was at least partially focused, but definitely not focused enough to make the career I had planned to have. At that point, I did media all over the country. I did TV media, radio media, pointing out the war that we were fighting was not the war that was being publicized in the media. We were, in fact, helping a people grow and become a more westernized society. So for me, Good Good America and Iraq in general just completely altered my life, because here I was battling with survivor's guilt where I lost friends in the war and all these different things, all these moments of PTSD that I would have driving down the road where I would literally pull over to the side of the road with my heart pounding because there was something on the freeway in LA, you know. So it really, that part of my life set where I am today and what I'm doing now.
It's like you fight a physical battle when you're overseas, and it's a physical endurance test, and then when you come home, it's a mental battle against those that you would think would be grateful for the services that you provide. Thank God that you had music to help you get through, and I'm sure a great support system. But it's not the same story for other veterans out there, especially friends of yours, right?
Absolutely, and we're dealing with 22 veteran suicides a day. My career restarted when I realized I still have a mission to accomplish in life, and I was dealing with, my best friend is dealing with meth addiction and basically lost his whole life. He lost everything that he was before, his family, his ability to work a real job. Everything that he was as a person was taken away from him, and it was taken away because of his battle with post-traumatic stress. And I was torn because that's my best friend. We were in the Marine Corps together. We were roommates together. We were both from Kentucky, had this incredible bond, and it just wrecked me to see not only the state he was in, but at the same time this was happening, I was probably also dealing with my worst post-traumatic stress of my life. I was drinking myself to blackout every night and not really focusing on anything in life. And I wrote the song Your War Is Over. Really, it was my changing point in life. It was when I decided I needed to get my life straight. I'm now a firefighter, and it was because of, I think, that song that got my mind to say, get your life on track. And it's not easy, and I'm not telling anyone out there that it's easy, and it's never going to be easy. But for the guys that are dealing with post-traumatic stress, we have to find a mission, and you have to accomplish that mission. And when that's accomplished, find another, an accomplishment, because that's what we are. We're warriors, and we're fighting for a mission. That's how we were raised. So, you know, that fight continues way after the war. Absolutely.
Well, it's so good to hear that you have found your purpose and your calling between your music and now service in your community. Like I said, there are so many others out there that, like you said, 22 suicides a day. That's monstrous in an advanced society that we would allow those who truly are our best and brightest. I truly believe that those who volunteer to serve, you know what, they may not be, the most academic. They may not be, the most polite kid in class, not miscongeniality or anything like that. But their heart is probably the biggest of all young people who aspire to be something in life, and to see that they're being left behind like that is tragic, really. But it's good to see you make it through the rain, and now you're looking to help others make it through your music.
Yes, sir, and that's what it's all about. Is those of us that have the ability to move forward need to make sure that we put our hand back like we would in combat and grab our brothers and sisters and pull them forward with us.
It's truly a blessing that you're doing that. Now, talk to me about the song Day to Night, because we're going to be playing that for our audience right after this interview. Tell us the story behind the song, and tell us everything you can about the meaning behind it for you.
Wow. So every time I think of this song, I like to say we're still at war. A lot of people in our country have turned a blind eye to what's happening recently and what's happening in the Middle East now. The fact that my war is basically lost now because those children that I was fighting for have now are adults and were being killed. So Day to Night was sparked. I have a friend that I work with here at Palo Alto Fire, and his son is a MARSOC Marine. One day we found out that maybe his son had been lost in combat. It was a crazy day because there was a lot of madness and not a lot of real information coming out. It turned out that his son wasn't killed, but in the firefight that had ensued from insider attacks, Sergeant Charles Strong was killed in his last day of deployment in Afghanistan.
Oh, man.
So,
wow.
When I heard that, I was rocked because for me, it's something that I went through every day I got closer to going home. I continued to say, just one more day, one more day outside the line, that's it, one more day and we got this. So I wrote the song Day to Night, and it was one of those things where it just came to me. I wrote it 6 months to the date of Charles's death, which I didn't even know, but I voice recorded it on my phone, and it turned out later I wrote it exactly 6 months to the date of when he had passed. And I sat down at the piano. I didn't have a song to write. I didn't have an idea, and I began to play, and this song came out. And I remember the line, just one more time that I must cross those lines and I'm home. When I wrote that, I knew what I was writing, and I knew who I was writing about. And I finished that song in 20 minutes, probably. Usually when they go quick like that, from a writer's perspective, when they go quick like that, they're going to be, they're something special. And I finished it. I knew it was special. The moment I finished it, I picked up the phone and I called my producer. After I listened to it and completely broke it down, I called my producer and I said, "Hey Pat, we've got our next single." So within a month, I was in the studio, recorded that song. In my head, I had already built a video to this song, and I had said we were doing a video. Without money, with nothing, I called every financer, or not financer, but every video maker in LA and said, "Let me talk to my financiers, and I'll get back to you, but I need a bid on this video concept." So ultimately, bid comes in. It's in a range that, if need be, I would have put it up myself. Out of left field, 3 days, 5 days maybe before actually going to shoot the video, American Hero Clothing steps up and pays for the video. We are taking, and I called Taylor Strong, who's the wife of Charles Strong, and spoke to her several times before finally inviting her out to play herself in the video. So Taylor plays herself in the video. She was 8 months pregnant when Charles died. She heard the song for the first time on her first Mother's Day ever. There's just so much special that's built around this. It's crazy to think of. And while this was happening 2 days before the video shoot, my father had a cardiac arrest on the table for an endoscopy and was in a coma in his last days of his life. As I flew to Kentucky to see him, then flew back to California to shoot the video, and then spent the last 14 days of his life with him. So it's something that spiritually you can't, put all these pieces together. You can't, write a story this good. It's just what happened in life at this time.
It seems like it was all meant to fit together from what you're saying, and it just even before hearing the song, which we're going to play in a moment, just wow. I mean, the timing, the subject matter, the fact that you said that it wrote itself, that usually means to me, at least when it comes with the creative process, that there's something more going on than just you writing down the notes and the time, So what we're going to do right now is we're going to play the song, and then when we come back, I want you to tell everybody where they can find out more about you, where they can buy the song, and where they can support you in any future projects you have.
Like a dream, I close my eyes and now it's here. Just one more day until we're free. I'm on my way to you. Just one more time that I must cross those lines and I am home. And the daylight turns into night. You're all I'm thinking of. You're always all I'm thinking of. When the daylight turns into night, I will be. Then the shots ring out across that desert sand. I will be just one more time, yeah.
You know, all I can say about that, Russ, is wow.
Great
I mean,
interview, great song.
There
Good
was
job.
more to the interview, but we have so much more to do. I mean, we got a little bit of time left, but final thought time, pal.
Gene, you got to play me one other song that I've been craving all year.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I hope you have it ready.
I have it ready. Listen,
it's the only
Veterans Day.
request I usually have for this show, and this is it.
It's Veterans Day. By the way, before we get to that, go to iTunes, look up John Preston, look for the song Day to Night. It's available on iTunes and other music outlets. Proceeds from that, a portion of them will be going to the family of Sergeant Strong, and it's a beautiful thing that what John is doing in reaching out to veterans. 22 suicides a day by veterans. It's absolutely monstrous.
And that's veterans. If you look at the people who are currently in the reserves and active duty, there's more than one a day of just those folks. So it's a real problem.
We need to stand up for them like they've stood up for us. But listen, it's not going to be just very introspective and inspiring and uplifting stuff right now. Time to get to a little fun. And this is what Russ is talking about right now.
This is uplifting, Gene. This is one of the best things we've ever done.
I am foregoing my final thought. This is from our Brooklyn GOP radio days. It's a little distorted and a little loud, but you're going to love it. It's a Yak Attack tribute.
One of the originals. One of the
that
OGs.
he did way back in the day. There'll be references to old news stories. Listen to this. We're heading out back to our normal format next week, folks. After this, we're shutting it down. We're out of here on the live. Take a listen to this, and we'll be back next week.
Stay tuned for the final thought, though.
Yes. God bless, guys. Listen to this, and we'll talk to you next week.
We're going to bring things down a little bit, Russ. It's been a taxing day.
It has been.
But it's time for Yak segment. Let's let our good friend Yak Bard.
And this is my favorite segment. I know many of you too.
Go ahead,
Let's
Yak.
turn it over to Yak.
Go ahead.
Yak.
Thanks, James. Thanks, Russ. Being that this recording is going to be played 2 days after Veterans Day, so I do not want to miss out my opportunity to salute our armed forces, our veterans, and those who have fought for us throughout the generations to preserve our freedom and our quality of life, liberty, and justice for all.
That's beautiful, Yak.
And on the subject of what our armed forces do for us and for the globe, I want to salute them for doing a fantastic job in the Philippines, helping out those unfortunate souls who have lost their homes and family, and the many lives that have been destroyed over there. I just want to say that I'm so proud to be an American.
We're proud that you are an American, Yak.
And bringing it back to America, though, and want to talk about quality of life. Nothing is more. No quality of life would describe the quality of our health care.
Okay.
And as we know, we were supposed to give our president his. We were supposed to take his word. A lie that he has repeated 35 times at least.
That's right.
At least.
Lied to lied to the American people,
and abetted
right, Yak?
By the Democratic scoundrels that have many of them have said up until recently, don't change anything. This is an awesome plan. Run with it. Go with it. Take it to the polls. Don't worry, you won't lose your health care. Drudge says 1 million have in California alone.
Wait. Between Glenn and Yak, what the hell are we talking about right now?
We're talking about focus, Scout. Keep sight of the house.
All right, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Okay. As I was saying.
Listen, Obamacare turned out to be a lie. That's what you were saying.
So we've been going from making fun of the website and of its failures on late night to now everybody knowing the lie and scandal and scum that this president has turned out to be.
And that's Yakov Bard.
And that is Yakov Bard.
Great job, brother.
God bless the USA, Yak.
Indeed. God bless USA. Our position's been compromised. It's time to roll out. Report for debriefing at www.bbc.com. www.behindenemylinesradio.us and look for regular communications via Facebook and Twitter at BEL_radio. You are the resistance. Behind Enemy Lines. Part of the Conservative Commandos Radio Network. A rock radio production. Copyright 2015. Back in 7 days. Out.
You're listening to Rebooting Liberty Radio Network. Compelling and entertaining talk.
Don't touch that dial.